Hello. Super. I have the new copy of Still Standing. Oh, it's perfect. Second book I published by myself, and this one is by Joshua Dan- Joshua Daniel Hayes, and it's a really good book. I'm going to prove it because I'm going to read it to you. Since there's nobody watching yet, I'm talking to replay people. Why don't we take a look at the surf while we wait for the people to come on? Oh, I can't for you because this is just so gorgeous tonight. Surf is up. Tonight we are live from Deerfield Beach, Florida. The waves are breaking. They're so beautiful. Got some surfers over here. All right, Kathy. Thank you. Hi, Mark. All right. Sounds like you guys are eager to hear a couple of chapters from Still by Joshua Daniel Hayes. And look at the beautiful ocean tonight. Oops, sorry. Oh, first, let me show you the cover of the book. I know it's kind of hard to see because it's dark. It's a very dark looking book, but yeah. Apathy's Silent Soul. Okay. Well, I'm going to start reading to you. Give me a sound check. Let me know you guys can hear okay. We'll focus in on some good breakers. All right. How's that? Loving that beautiful surf down there. Okay. So I know I read a little bit to you before, but I want to read to you. This is a scary one. This is called Ronnie's House. Thank you, Kathy. Ronnie's House. Okay. And by the way, just so you know, after every chapter, Josh puts in a lesson, what he learned from the chapter that he wrote and the way that he lives his life because of it. Thank you, Kathy. Okay, Ronnie's house. After everything, you'd think we might catch a break, but the chaos just shifted locations and got meaner. My mother's drinking took a nosedive into something darker when she met Ronnie. Living with him is like being trapped in a never ending weekend. Booze, shouting, violence. The music never stopped, the arguments never cooled down, and the people in that house were always one sip away from being dangerous. Bonnie was the kind of man who drank to feel powerful and hurt people to stay that way. The weekends were always the worst. That's when he'd start swinging. One night, Ronnie got so drunk and so angry that we had to run for our lives, literally. He grabbed a gun. My mother didn't hesitate. She scooped us up and bolted into the snowy Oklahoma woods. I was 6. My sister was 7. My little brother was barely 2. The four of us crashed through trees and brambles in the dark, the cold biting at our skin and our lungs burning with fear. Ronnie was behind us somewhere with a loaded weapon and enough rage to kill someone. But my mother ran like a woman who had decided that no matter how messed up her life had become, she wasn't going to let it end that night. That wasn't the only time we'd fled into the night. There were other nights, many nights, where we found ourselves pounding on strangers' doors, desperate for help. The nearest neighbors were a mile away, but fear can push little legs a long way. I don't remember the names of those neighbors, only the distant porch lights and the desperate hope that someone, anyone, might answer the door and not turn us away. One night, Ronnie's fists were flying again. My mother was on the receiving end. Blood, screaming, chaos. I stepped in front of her. I was underweight, 7 years old, still missing baby teeth, but I stood between her and him like I was made of stone. He didn't pause. He didn't flinch. He punched me straight in the face. Broke my nose. Broke something else, too. She ended up with a broken jaw. I ended up wondering what kind of world let that happen to a child. And the answer, it turns out, is this world. The same one where we had to run through snow and pray we didn't get shot. One day in the thick of summer, Ronnie's friend showed up in a cloud of dust and fury. I don't remember his name. I remember the rage. I remember the heat of the sun on my skin and the way everything went silent when he pulled the gun and pressed it against my forehead. I could take your life right now, he said, and no one could stop me. He wasn't lying. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just stood there and waited for whatever was going to happen. I knew there wasn't anyone coming to save me. After a few minutes, he got bored and withdrew the gun before walking away like a disgruntled customer at a Walmart. And in the middle of that hell, there was my sister. She was just a little girl herself, but she was the closest thing my brother and I had to safety. During the worst fights, when furniture crashed and fists flew, she would gather the both of us in the bedroom, shut the door, and read us stories from a children's Bible. She whispered about Noah's Ark, Daniel in the lion's den, and a Savior who walked on water. We were scared, but during those soft moments, we weren't alone. She was our shelter. She was the light in a house full of shadows. That was chapter 7, you guys, and there's a lesson after that called Evil and Apathy. I used to think the monsters in my life were the biggest threat, Ronnie, Nikki, and the rest of them. But I've learned something since then. It wasn't just the evil that scarred me. It was the apathy. It was the people who saw bruises and looked away. The neighbors who heard the yelling and locked their doors. The adults who should have done something but didn't. To paraphrase Einstein, the world is a dangerous place, not because of those who do evil, but because of those who see evil and do nothing about it. That quote hits like scripture when you've lived it. I learned that lesson honestly, but I also learned something else, something my sister showed me in the middle of all the madness. Sometimes, hey, there he is. Hi, Joshua.
Hey,
Sometimes,
everything.
wait a minute, let me finish this. The only one who steps in is a child with a Bible. And sometimes the ones who should protect you are the very reason you learn how. Wow. So, welcome to the Beach Report, everybody. This is the soon to be famous Joshua Daniel Hayes. Yeah, I'll
Hey, how's it
turn
going?
my camera around too so you can see me. Hello, welcome.
Sorry, it took me a minute. I couldn't quite figure out how to use Facebook Live. I was clicking the wrong link. I went to your live, but I didn't go to your invitation.
All right, well, you're good and you figured it out and you did it right at the nick of time. I was just finishing up reading a chapter from Still Standing.
Excellent.
Okay, so I met you more than a year ago, right? It was probably almost exactly a year ago.
Yeah,
A little bit
yeah.
more.
It was just a little bit over a year ago at a conference there in Florida.
Yeah, we were at the Great Awakening. Clay, what's his last name?
Clay Clark.
Yeah, Clay Clark.
Yep.
And we were in like I was in a booth selling my books. And what were you doing there, Josh?
I was honestly I was doing security for one of the speakers, Bishop uh, Benjamin.
Okay, and so how did we come to meet?
Uh, Honestly, I met another vendor there, Magna Khalif. She was selling her book and some cologne,
Right.
and I just started talking to her and told her a little. We were just talking about stuff, and I didn't even talk to her about my life or anything. We were just talking, and we started getting on the subject of writing books. And I said I'd been trying to write a book for years. I just didn't know how to do it. And then she said, "Well, I happen to have a friend." And that's when she introduced me to you.
And here we are a year later and the project is finished. You know,
Yep.
that was really good, like a year to write a book.
Yeah.
And part of it was just me talking you into it, right?
Yeah. To be honest, most of the book writing was on my cell phone, and because where I'm living right now is not the best of places, and so I didn't have a computer or everything. I'd had major back surgery a couple of years ago, and so it kind of slowed my life a little bit, changed it. And so I ended up writing it on my cell phone, and it didn't take me as long as I thought. I think the hardest part was you convincing me to just do it. I was trying to be lazy and have you do it for me, but that didn't work out.
No, it doesn't work out well because I am inundated with projects. Like, and since I finished this, even more people want me to write their books. So, oh
Yeah,
my gosh, it's like never ending. However, it's true. You really, it's a project that you have to do yourself, and you will not get anywhere if you don't just do it. You know, and
yeah,
then that took a long time to talk Josh into doing it. But one of the things that I think is super helpful is he used Chat GPT, and he used it in a really smart way. So tell everyone how you use Chat GPT to help you to write.
Well, honestly, I was as you know, I'm actually filed for disability for with the government and stuff, and I was trying to find out information about like because I started thinking about because I never even thought about mental or anything like that about what I've gone through and stuff. And so I just started asking ChatGPT questions about if you were to grow up with this and have all these circumstances and have never talked to anybody about it, how would you be? And so it gave me a list of things that I should be affected by, stuff like that. And then I just ended up while I was telling it the story, I was actually writing my book unintentionally. And
Right.
so I ended up just converting it to a narrative, and then I'd have ChatGPT edit edit it to make sure that I just didn't sound completely stupid.
Okay.
Because if I used improper words or something like that, I wanted to make sure it was I wanted to make sure that somebody could read it and understand what I was saying.
Yeah. Oh, it went beyond that though. I got to tell you. So when he sent me his first few chapters, I start reading and I'm like, whoa. Because like I said, I had to talk him into even writing. Like had never written anything major, like a book before in his life. And I had to talk him into it. But when he started turning out, I'm thinking, this guy's a writer. He doesn't even know it. And at one point in the book, he reveals that he spent a lot of time reading to stay out of trouble. And I have to tell you what, reading is the best way to become an excellent writer. If you are very well read, chances are you will probably be good at writing. You know, it's like anything, it's a practice. And when you also start to tell your story and you find your writer's voice, it gets easier and easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, I pretty soon you start writing and um you don't realize it, but you've been writing for a day and a half straight. I
Yeah,
mean, it just you just don't even think about it. You just keep writing and you don't want to stop, especially if you already know where everything is going.
exactly. That's called the writer's zone. And when you hit the writer's zone, like a whole week could go by and you don't even know what hit you. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm actually on writing my third book right now.
And that's,
Um, and so so the second one's already done. It just needs to be completed in editing, but
yeah,
that'll come out
it's
soon.
my
So
God.
I'm excited about that. I'm not gonna spoil anything on it, but it doesn't stop with this book at
No,
all.
however, we do need you guys to purchase this book because when we make money on this book, then we can fund the next book. You know, it's not free to publish books. However, I'm doing it in such a way that it doesn't cost Josh any money. In fact, I want Joshua to be able to support his family with his new job of now being an author and soon a speaker. You can see he is very well spoken. Tell everyone, what is your ultimate goal? Do you have an ultimate goal yet, or what's your next step?
Well, my ultimate goal is, and I've been wanting to do this for a while. I'd actually started a podcast a couple of years ago that, given my current situation, I had to kind of put on the sidelines and everything, but it was all leading to be a transformative speaker. I didn't like the idea of being called a motivational speaker because motivation is very short lived. Anybody can be motivated, but unless you're transformed, you're not really going to make a lot of changes. And I want people that have either been through hell or are going through hell, or somebody that have kids that are going through it, to understand that it's all perspective. That it doesn't have to be that way, and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And to be honest, you are the light at the end of the tunnel.
That's right. And also, Jesus is the light and the way and the word. And I think that's also been a very important part of your life that's really brought you out of darkness is your faith.
Yeah, I had to, of course, uh, I had to learn about Jesus in my own way, uh, because the way people would explain things didn't make a lot of sense. You can't go through what I go through and then tell somebody that you're going to go to hell if you don't do this and don't do that or don't do that. That just doesn't make any sense. But when I read about Jesus, I'm like, wait, Jesus didn't do that. He loved people. He just simply loved, and that was it. He now don't get me wrong. He stood up for what was right. Love isn't what people think it is, where you just sit back and just you look like a Buddhist or anything. But when I found out who Jesus really was, I mean, that's why I have my shirt that I'm wearing now that says Jesus is a badass. It's one of my shirts, because I had to learn who Jesus really is. And the way I know what a badass is, it's not a bad thing. It means that you stand up, you do what's right, you love unconditionally, you love regardless.
I love that. I just turned my microphone off because it's so loud here with the ocean. Let me know if that helped you guys, if you were better able to hear Josh. I don't know if the ocean is distracting to you, but it gets really loud sometimes. Anyway, yes, you're exactly right, Josh. And the thing about your book that you can't see from your perspective, but I see it from my perspective because I was a very loved child, but I was given up for adoption. So if I hadn't been given up for adoption, I might well have gone through a life like yours. However, I was super lucky and I was taken out of that and I was treated like a princess. So to read these stories, things that you went through, to me, I'm learning that, everybody's got that kid in school that they went to school with who wasn't clean, and you didn't know what they were going through, and you maybe made fun of them, or you just ignored them or whatever, because like you show in the book, kids like you would rather be ignored than the spotlight of nasty, evil people, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've got really good at being invisible.
Yeah.
Uh, and to be completely honest, it wasn't until I was an adult that I even thought about the way I grew up. I mean, a buddy of mine who he adopted he had a foster child. He had ended up adopting her. He's a police officer. He he had told me when he went through some classes that he's like, when I told him, I was like, honestly, I didn't know I was abused until I was an adult. And he said that's actually pretty atypical. People that did grow up, like, that's all you know. And that's a lot of times why a lot of times you don't even realize it, that somebody is being abused, because they don't realize it. I mean, you would think it'd be obvious, somebody shot you with a gun, that you would know that that's not right. But when you're in survival, you don't have time to think about the way other people live, because you've never been in that perspective.
No, likewise, when you've never been in that perspective, you also can't really recognize what someone else may be going through. It doesn't occur to you that something
Yeah.
like that could be happening. It's like mind blowing. So that's why your book, I believe, is so important, because you lay it out and you say this is what it was like to grow up as Joshua Hayes, and it wasn't pretty. It was heartbreaking.
I appreciate it. I won't lie. I've never been really ashamed of the way I grew up, but I was the opposite of my sister. I was not a self-confessor. I didn't talk about my life. My own wife didn't know hardly anything about my life until I started writing this book. I didn't keep it a secret. I wasn't trying to. I'm open to talk about anything that anybody wants to talk about. I just never had a reason. I just didn't understand what would make a person talk about their life. And then that's one of the reasons, because if I don't talk about it, I've said this before. I said this when I started my podcast and my shirt company, was that if one person can either get through or know how to deal with what they've been through or what they're going through, then not only would it have been worth it, but I would choose to do it again. Because that isn't that the point of this life, is to learn and to love and help others from having to go through the hell that we've gone through.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I often will, in talking to younger people, and they'll say, "Oh, I wish this hadn't happened," or "That's not fair, or that shouldn't have happened like that." But, what you have to accept is that it did happen like that. And there's no going back and changing it. But it all depends on how you react to it.
Yeah.
It's up to you how you deal with it, and you are a role model in how you have dealt with having a bad childhood. I mean, so tell everybody, what did you do for the past, you grew up, and then what happened, just in a
Uh,
nutshell. I know, don't, yeah, you've got another book coming out, but just, just quick.
well, that's a mouthful. A lot has happened. Um, uh, in a nutshell, I actually ended up uh, going to college. I did not graduate because I ended up becoming a police officer. Um, I had a few surgeries that have honestly should have put me in a wheelchair. In fact, did at one time. a couple times, uh, and and I noticed that what I thought when I was a kid, that life was like going up a mountain, that you were constantly going up. That once you went up, you didn't go back down, but that's not the way it is at all. As a lot of times you will get up really high, and then all of a sudden you get lower than what you were in the first place. Um, but you're not actually lower, because now you're starting from that perspective, with a perspective of knowing what you know, and so you're not going through the same hell as you went through. And everything is different. Like, I've been homeless a few times in my life, but it changes once you have a wife and a child. I mean, the idea of homelessness. When I was a kid, being homeless, when I say being a kid, even in my 20s, I consider that a kid. Um, Looking at homelessness was not really all that scary to me. Um, but now, having a wife and child, it's just, I don't want my daughter to know what being hungry feels like. You know, she's never had to go without meals, and she never will as long as I'm alive.
Exactly. You'll go without before she will, that's for sure.
I do, yeah.
I know you do. However, you are now embarking on a brand new journey where you have become a published author, not a self-published author, a published author. Because I have taken the initiative to bet on this guy, and I know that he's going to do amazing, and he's going to be able not just to support his family through books, but he's going to become a speaker. And he's got more books, two more books right now, one already finished and another one in the works. So he's proving that he's also a prolific writer, but his lived experience can absolutely help others and teach people that you don't have to get down and stay down. Like you said, you go up, you come down, you go up, you come down. But every time you come down, you have learned something. And then the next time you go up, you go even further. Am I right?
That's correct. And and honestly, when I started, um, it's like a lot of lessons in my life. I intend one lesson for one group of people, end up finding out it affects a different one. I was just thinking about the lost, the broken, the ones that feel unloved. I wanted to talk to them, but I've had a few people read the book, before I even got it in print, just so I had some feedback. And most of them had never had any difficulty as children, and I didn't realize the positive effects of learning that perspective when you've never gone through something like that. Um,
Exactly.
and they came out, learning stuff, and it was interesting.
For me too. I mean, like I said, I was raised knowing nothing but love, and you love your children, and it's just the things that happen to you. It, wow. But then it made me think about the kids that I've seen along the way who could have been you. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to help you and your family. Because number one, I knew that I could. And number two, you deserve it. People like you who like go through these battlefields, you don't even know what it is to have people just be kind to you for no reason other than God whispered in my ear, "Hey Jill, publish this guy's book."
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate it because I believe in you. I think that your book is amazing, and I'm super excited that I'm the one that gets to publish it. And I'm nobody. I just on a whim decided I'll be a publisher now. So
Well, I'm
we're on
glad
this
you
journey
did.
together.
I,
And and I want you guys to know that this book is a super collaborative effort between Josh and me. I mean, seriously, in the whole front cover, this is all Josh. He did this whole thing by himself. I just put it into the book cover. I did the words on the back, but we came up with the concept of the back together, of the door opening with the light shining through,
yeah.
and always the feather, for those who have passed on. And also another thing I want to bring to your attention is that jillbooks.com. is messianic. We've got the cross and the Jewish Star of David in there, so to represent the faith that I've published all of my books with. So I want to welcome Joshua into the world of authorship. How does it feel to be an author?
Surreal. Yeah, that's really the only word I can say. It wasn't even real to me until I got the book in my hand.
I told you
Uh,
so.
yeah, it just I don't I I'm I've accomplished a couple of things in my life, and I'm probably horrible about it because I always take it for granted because it just feels like another day. But this time, it just feels it 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 feels like the beginning of a new chapter.
Which is exactly what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thoroughly excited for people to read this, and then everybody that I've talked to that's read it. Um, has asked me when my second one's coming out because again, this leads into the second book,
Yes, it
um,
does.
and I'm more excited about my second book than I am about this one. My second book has more of my personality in it. Um, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, uh, but it comes with a lot of lessons that a lot of people can can get a hold of. And a lot of things that a lot of people have gone through that is a little more normal than what my childhood was. So I mean, but again, like I build everything, it couldn't have happened unless I grew up the way I did. And that then it's still, my perspective had to been right. And that's the thing a lot of people don't understand, is that it's about your perspective. You may not be able to control what happened to you, how you were hurt, or your situation, but you can control what you say and what you do.
That right there.
And there's a lot of people that instead they just want to be victims. They just want to say how horrible their life. I've never said my life was horrible. I've never said in fact, usually when somebody will say something, they're like, "I'm sorry." I get that a lot, and I don't understand because, well, I just don't understand being sorry about the way somebody grew up because that perspective has led me where I could help people that I could have never helped. I mean, have you? I use this example. It's like getting marriage advice from a Catholic priest who's never been married.
Right, right.
It just doesn't make any sense. God uses the broken to heal the broken.
So true.
And
Well,
so yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I love your perspective. Keep going.
Oh, I want people to take that out of everything I say, is that it is about perspective. Your life is only as bad as you allow it to be.
So true.
I didn't have a bad life. I had a learned life. I had a lot of experiences that, I mean, look at, we both have a lot of military friends and family, um, and they will tell you, if you want to see what kind of soldier they are, look at the kind of training they went through. And we're all soldiers. I mean, we're all soldiers on this planet trying to do the same thing, love and learn.
Yeah, you're right. We are. We're all in training. I feel like that we're on one big ball of it's a big old learning experience, and I am here to collect friends and to learn things, and I think that's what it's all about. So that's why I love what I do, and I think that Josh is going to really make a difference in people's lives and letting them know that you can choose a different way. You don't have to play the cards that you are dealt.
Yeah. And the amount of impact that I can possibly have is very determined by how many people read my books, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, the more people read, the more people that get positively affected.
So that said, please consider ordering not one, but at least 2 copies are still standing, and give one of them to a child, or give one of them to somebody who's going through a hard life, or donate one to a homeless shelter, or somewhere where there are people who are in need, and you never know where that person might be or who that person might be either, because some people,
Whenever I,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, sorry. Whenever I figure out how to do it, and build my own site, which I do think is important for my message. There will be a donate button to help donate books to like children in foster care and homeless shelters, stuff like that. You know, I want it to be available to people that can't afford to buy a book.
Yeah, and if you guys want to do that now on my jillbooks.com page, I also put this book in the comments. I'm sorry, there's a link attached that you can buy the book. And I do have to ask you guys, the book is $20, but there is $10 shipping and handling fee. And some people are, for some reason, not getting that. So I need you guys to also do the shipping and handling fee because it's expensive. So help me out here and help out kids all over the country, if not the world, and buy a copy of Still Standing and get it in the hands of people who really need to read it. And that's not just kids who need help or young people. It's anybody who's going through a tough time. But it's also people who have a really great life and they don't realize that there are people suffering. It's like in this book. So
I remember growing up having friends that were on the verge of suicide because their parents got divorced, and I could not, for the life of me, understand why. And that's what learning about life in general. I learned everything's about perspective, because even with my back surgeries, like my wife will complain about her back hurt, and then she'll stop. She doesn't do it as much now, but she said, I know I shouldn't complain because you've had it worse. I was like, yeah, but I've been trained for this. You know, I've been trained with back pain and everything else. So me having one type of pain is different than her having pain. Somebody going through something is going to be different based on perspective, and it helps to see other people's perspectives, because how can you? One of the greatest things, the most important thing Jesus ever actually said was, love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your might, and just alike love your neighbors yourself. But he also said, you know, they say to hate your enemies. I say no, not just hate, not do. He said no, love your enemies, and not just love your enemies, but pray for your enemies. But how can you love somebody if you can't empathize with them? That opens the door to love, is empathizing, and you do that by reading other people's experiences and knowing that you may see somebody that's angry, that is lashing out, that is doing stupid things, all kinds of stupid things to get attention. And you don't understand it because they're like, why would you do that? You see these kids doing stupid Tide Pod challenges and stuff. Well, they're reaching out. You know, it's kind of like if you hear somebody that is wants to unalive themselves and they say it out loud, and people are like, well, they're just reaching out for they're just trying to get attention. Yeah, they are. That's the point, until they can't get enough attention that way, and then they end up doing it. But you need to get perspective to see what they're going through so you can help them, and so you can help other people, and so you can help yourselves, because trust me, every time you help somebody, you're helping yourself too.
big time. And that is the best kept secret. You know, I always, whenever I am at my lowest, I do something volunteer like, and it lifts me up more than the people that I'm helping, honestly. And this is the case right now. I get such a charge out of being like a fairy godmother. Josh said he wanted a book, and I'm like, boom, now you're an author.
Yeah.
But it's been a joy for me to work with Josh, and like I said, this is a truly collaborative effort where he literally, every file was, it was pretty much perfect. I barely had to edit it because he is such a good writer. So I mean, this is a really great effort between the two of us, and I know that it's going to make a difference in the world.
And I really, really do. I don't know if I say it enough. Appreciate you because I mean it's my. I won't say I dreamt my whole life of being an author. I dreamt of impacting people, and I never knew how I was going to do that. You know, I grew up. If you want to get rich, work more. That's life. Is you just that's your what you do. Everybody dreams of just getting a job, going to work, going home, and that's all they ever did. My goals and my dreams were beyond that. It was more about how big of an impact I can make, and I couldn't have done that at all unless you'd helped me with turning my writings into a book.
Well, I'm super happy about it too, and I cannot wait to see the wonderful things that you do in the future, the places you go, the way that you'll be able to now take care of your family, the way that they deserve to be taken care of. And your
You
daughter has never known a hungry day in her life, and she never will.
exactly. Do you want me to give the name of my second book? It will kind of give a hint of
Sure,
where
talk
things are
about it.
going.
Yes, absolutely. Get people pumped up. And again, you guys have to buy this book if you want his next book.
Yeah,
So
it'll
that's
make
a
everything make
big
sense,
deal. Yeah.
and especially if it make the ending of this book make sense once you get into the second. But of course, we know this book is called Still Standing, and the purpose of you can have something. Speaking of hungry, my daughter was asking for muffins. Sorry about that.
We love her.
She's only 7. Um, uh, but this book is called Still Standing. It is
No, it's called Breaking Chains.
no. My next book is called Breaking Chains. I'm talking
Oh,
about
I
this
thought
book
that's
right
what you were
here.
talking about.
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no, 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 no.
Oh,
This book is
understood.
called Still Standing, and the purpose.
I
I
got
was
it.
explain why I call them that.
Good.
Is because uh, it's my way of saying no matter what has happened, you're not going to get me on my knees. You're not going to keep me down. I'm still standing, and it's just that I want people to know that's my battle cry. Going through that part of my life is no matter what, I'm still standing. My second book, however, is called Breaking Chains, like you'd said. And that's my battle cry. That's the point that you'll start noticing that I start defying a lot of odds. You think this is odd defying on this book. My next book, we're talking about impossibility, like literal impossibilities that have happened.
Miracles,
Um,
if you will.
yeah, miracle. Yeah, exactly. That should seem impossible. It should seem like no, you made that up. I've had people tell me that that was impossible. It couldn't have happened like that. Even though doctors legitimately tell me, attorneys legitimately tell me, things that shouldn't have happened. And I want people to see that no matter what part of your life you're at, you're going to get the chance to break your own chains if you make that chance. But you can only do that. You can't what I've learned is you cannot depend on anybody to do things for you. You got to get up and do it yourself. Now I always unfortunately I'll think of the end the whole time, and so I'm like, oh, I can't get this done. But don't just think of that one step in front of you. Just take that one
Exactly.
step that's going the direction of where you want to get to.
That's right. That's right. Like we writers say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
I said that in a podcast to a guy once, and he acted like I was nuts because he's like, "What does that even mean?" I was like, "Exactly what it means." He's like, "Who eats elephants?" And I'm like, "Well, you missed the point." But yes, elephants eating elephants one bite at a time, and that's exactly what it is. And unfortunately, life a lot of times feels like you're eating an elephant.
Exactly. Well, I think that's a great analogy for all writers and actually anybody tackling a big project. And this was a big project, and the two of us, you guys have no idea how we are over the moon that it's finished. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
like, wow, we did it. We did. I feel like, and I only met Josh once in real life, but dude, I want to give you the biggest hug. I want to
yeah,
dance around, woo, screaming like, ah! It's so exciting and it looks so beautiful.
that is it.
Do you like the shininess of it? I could do
Yeah,
matte, but I thought it needed to be kind of shiny, kind of have
yeah.
some light to it.
It does. It sparkles, so you notice it.
It really does.
It
It's dark, but it's kind of pretty.
I I was hoping that people would understand the picture a little bit. I mean, there's a 6-year-old carrying a teddy bear and a rifle.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if I'd confuse people or not, but we'll call it a self-portrait as it is.
I do have to say, a friend of mine was with me when I showed her the cover of the book, and she went white when she saw it, and she said, "Oh my God!" She goes, "I know somebody who grew up like that." Like she knew
Yeah.
exactly what that meant, and it made her blood run cold. So yeah, this image is going to really get to some people.
Yeah. I'm more than anything, I'm looking forward to two things. One, being able to take care of my family, but the thing that I'm excited about is that I'll be able to help people that have gone through that and take care of my family at the same time, because I don't know, I call it maybe a selfish thing, but I mean it's like helping people that weren't there when I needed them. I was in a podcast a few years ago, um, in Oregon, and this guy asked me who my mentor was, because I didn't end up in drugs, I didn't end up in jail, I didn't end, none of that stuff that I was supposed to end up doing did not happen. It happened with my siblings, but did not happen with me. And he assumed that I had somebody to look up to, somebody that mentored me and helped me stay out of trouble, but there wasn't. I never had that person. I never had somebody stand up to me, and that was honestly my biggest fight with the church. I know that I have a lot of issues with church. Not the people. It's that the organization is that I got invited to church all the time when I was a little kid, because we want to help that little kid and save his soul and send him to heaven. But nobody cared about the fact I was living in hell right then. Not one person throughout my whole life. Nobody has ever called DHS on anything that I've gone through, on any of that. It's never been a call to DHS.
Wow.
I mean, so it's like all of
And
this
there should
happened
have
with,
been many times.
yeah,
Many
yeah.
times.
There were plenty of times that it should have been obvious that someone needs to send somebody there. Hindsight looking back, of course, as an adult,
Yeah.
but that's uh, the only time police would ever show up, or anybody was when my mother did something stupid.
And she did
But
a lot of stupid things.
yes, she did. It ended up hurting her a lot worse in the end.
That's a shame.
But and I don't want anybody to think I hold any ill will towards my mother. I don't. I don't hate her. I feel sorry for her because uh, she had a lot of demons. And a lot of people, when they see
Really.
a drug addict on the street, or they see an alcoholic, they see the alcoholic or the drug addict. They don't see the fact that that person is fighting demons. And I'm not talking about the religious war, literal demons. I mean demons as in they're fighting their own battles that they just can't figure out to get through it.
Yeah.
And they may not be able to be helped. I don't know. I mean, every individual is different, but somebody can step up and try.
Well, that's what your book is about, is really helping those people who maybe don't see a way out, but that's why you put lessons in it, because you want them to see a way out. You
Yeah.
give them that
The,
ability to be adaptable.
the whole physical construction of this book was for an intent. I remember we had the conversation about it. Is it long enough? And then, it came down to uh, when you're needing help and you're looking for answers, you don't want to go through a manual that's 300 pages thick. You'll forget most of everything. But if it's a short little 60-page book, it's
Not
easier to
intimidating.
retain. Yeah, it's not intimidating. It's easy to retain. You can have it on your coffee book. You can go through and review the lessons if you want. Like, he went through circumstances like this. What did he do? What did he learn from this? If
Exactly.
you start looking at things, and the guy that had me on the podcast asked me the same thing, why didn't I end up like that without a mentor? And I said it was all about perspective. It was about when I look back on my life now, I look at things that happened and I seen the lessons that they taught me. I see where it took me to, and so it makes it easier knowing that, oh, look at this. It's kind of like working out. Working out sucks, but getting your body in shape and stuff is, you know what it's going to. That's why working out's not so hard for people that work out all the time, because they keep the end in mind. Well, it becomes easier once you figure that out while you're going through the hard stuff. So when you're going through the hard stuff, you think, well, what lessons will this take me to? And then you start thinking about the lessons at that time, and all of a sudden you start making smarter decisions.
Yes, it's called training and practice and
Yeah,
going through life and with your eyes open and learning along the way. Because what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same
keep doing
thing
things.
and expecting
Yep.
different results.
And it's amazing. I was told it was an offensive way to call it, but I honestly, I don't care. But I call people deadheads because most people walk around without thinking, without, without putting any kind of forethought into something, and they just live. And I don't understand it. And they're wondering why they're so unhappy. I'm like, well, of course. I had a friend that him and his wife were always going out to parties, and they would always end up not hanging out together at the parties. And they were always, it's like every weekend that's what they did. They went and partied, and they ended up divorced. And I was like, well, are you surprised? You weren't even married. I'm like, you were living single while you were already together. If you can't see what it's going to take you, then you're gonna get blindsided, and it's gonna take you to somewhere you don't want to go to.
That's right. You have to have a plan in everything that you do because you know what? Life is going to plan for you too. Or you
Yeah,
can follow faith, which is also a good way to plan. That's how I do it. God said, hey, this guy needs a book. Go get it, Jill.
yeah,
So that was my plan.
yeah. God talks to us, and I
Yeah.
used to think it was supposed to be some kind of booming voice, but honestly, He talks to us the way we listen. And there's a lot
Yes,
of lessons into that in of itself. If you want somebody to hear you, talk the way they listen.
exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, if you guys want to get your copy or copies of Still Standing, like I said, you can go here in the, I think it's in a link at the comments or whatever. I'll put it in the comments too. There's a link there. You can also get it on my website, jillbooks.com. The more books that you buy and you can donate to this cause of getting this book everywhere that it needs to be so that we can also publish the second book, which is second in a series, because there's a third book that's underway right now. So this guy, he's not stopping. The writing bug has bitten him super hard, and I am so honored to be able to witness this and to help him along because he really is truly a really great, great author. So I think you're going to hear a lot more from Joshua Hayes.
Thank you, Jill.
Oh, thank you, Josh. And I'm so honored that I was the one that published your first book. I'm over the moon about it. I think this is just really an amazing effort. So thank you. Thank you for being brave enough to tell your story the way that you have and the way you're going to, because you can't stop now.
Yeah, yeah.
You're on a trajectory, my friend.
Yep. I'm excited. I know I'm not very good at showing excitement, but just take my word for it. I'm excited.
I know. I'll show the excitement for both of us.
I appreciate that.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you get back to your family. And Josh and I are texting all day long about ways to sell the book and things that we want to do. And of course, the next book coming up. But again, we have to sell this book first. So please
Yeah.
consider buying a copy or two or three or four. And we really appreciate that. All right, you guys. I'm going to say ciao for now. Thank you, Josh, for coming on my show tonight and also for being such a great writer and a great interview.
Thank you. Y'all stay in peace, stay in love.
All right, you guys. I'm going to say ciao for now.